Welcome to Farsighted, CNET's show about what's coming next tomorrow and way, way beyond tomorrow. I'm your host, Eric Mackey in Nuevo Mexico, and I'm joined in the studio in San Francisco by Bonnie Burton, Jeff Sparkman, Stephen Beecham, and Caitlin Petrakovitz. Did I get it right this time?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
No discussion.
Right.
I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
We'll work with that. If you want to join the conversation, the chat rooms are live. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/CNET. You can find it there. And also on livestream.com/CNET/Farsighted. Chat rooms there. And you can also just send a tweet with a hashtag, the hashtag Farsighted, and I will keep an eye out for that too. So, look, folks, we are all people who think a lot about the future and what that's going to be like. And one of the great sources for hints and clues about what's coming next and what the future holds is actually fiction. That's why every time we get together, at least part of the show always has to do with what science fiction or fantasy or superhero shows and stuff like that we're watching. It's why we write about this stuff. It's why we love it. It's because the first draft of the future is written in the imagination and shared through pop culture. Now, there's usually plenty of revisions and plenty of drafts of that vision of the future before it becomes reality. I mean, that's why we used a rocket taller than a 30-story building to get to the moon and not a hot air balloon. But today, it's starting to seem like science and technology really is catching up with science fiction and our fictional superheroes. Jurassic Park, there's people hoping to bring back the woolly mammoth in just a few years. The sequel to Blade Runner is coming out just as we approach the year when the original movie was set, and the tech to create genetically engineered replicants is actually already here. I mean, even the superhero stuff. I mean, people make DIY versions of pretty much everything Batman had, all of his swag every other day, and DARPA's got some of the Spider-Man abilities nearly dialed in, and I mean, that's only what we know about. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling, and we'll bring in the rest of the panel. How about we start with Caitlin? You put out a preview of the top superhero movies that are coming out in 2017 for CNET. So, I mean, which of these franchises are you excited about this year? And do you think there's higher expectations with the technology we have today? Do we expect our superheroes to be that much more super than they were in the past?
I mean, I don't know. I think we expect our superheroes to be different. That's for sure. Some of the movies that are coming out this year include Wonder Woman, Justice League, the Lego movie. I kind of threw that one in there because it's about Batman.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. That's actually probably more realistic how superheroes would be as far as their dialogue.
Right? I think it's pretty funny. Thor is coming out later this year. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Obviously excited. And Spider-Man, which I think kind of, you know, as we've gotten like our first look at his suit, we've already seen that it's more tech-based.
Well, thanks to Stark.
Right.
I mean, it didn't start that way. It started as a onesie with some goggles.
Totally. But I think the evolution of his suit is one of those that's like, oh, look, this is moving forward in a realistic manner.
I've watched Avengers Civil War like 80 times because it's on Netflix right now, and I've run out of things to watch on Netflix. And when they first show his suit, it's, you know, when Stark invades his queen's apartment, it's pretty crap. I mean, it looks like something you'd buy at Hot Topic with some goggles. There's nothing high-tech about it.
Because it's definitely evolved since,
It's his powers that make him a superhero, not a suit. And that's something that Iron Man probably doesn't quite understand because it's his suit that makes him Iron Man, not a super mutant power. So when they first meet in Civil War, he's like, I can't believe you're in this onesie and you're doing that. You need an upgrade. You need an upgrade, which is an interesting thing I wanted to ask you about because I think superheroes in real life now, it's going to be more of the Batman Tony Stark because it's the tech that makes them superheroes.
Right.
Obviously, we haven't gotten to mutant powers yet.
Right. But then those are coexisting with Thor.
Yeah.
And the badassery of Black Widow.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman, who's also, a demigod?
Yeah,
so
but
it's like...
Black Widow doesn't have mutant powers, right? She's just really good at fighting.
No, she's just a badass.
Yeah, she's really good at fighting.
She's just awesome.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those... We are kind of getting away from mutants in the MCU, but I mean, that's mostly because X-Men.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have a whole nother franchise for that cool stuff.
Legion's coming out.
I'm really excited to watch that, though.
Yeah.
It's gotten pretty good reviews.
It is interesting though, because when you read a lot of like, if you're still on Twitter, if you've been able to like deal with social media. Well, no, I have a lot of friends that are like, hey, you work for CNET. Can you send me that article on how to delete myself from social media?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are like, they can't handle the stress of their family and friends and acquaintances just constantly being political all over the place.
It's really hard.
And people are like starting to be like worn out from just all of this.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what side you're on or if you're not on any side, it's really exhausting. And so a lot of my friends are doing that and they're like, I can't handle it anymore. And the funny thing is on social media, I'm seeing more and more people be like, okay, how, can we learn how to hack? Can we learn how to
use our powers for good instead of evil?
Yeah. And self-defense, like the self-defense courses have been crazy in San Francisco with enrollment. Cause I tried to enroll in one and they're like, we're full up. And it's just very interesting that now all of a sudden, like the doomsday preppers don't seem so crazy.
Right. But I think that, it connects even to what we're talking about is that like, we're all trying to find a way to use our brains to make things better as we see them. So
and
to
look out for the little guy, which is what superhero 101
and in
is.
that respect, exactly. It's exactly trying to emulate those heroes that we've either grown up with or always loved. And it's about finding that middle ground. And for most people nowadays, that involves technology. And that involves what can I hack? What can I build? What can I come up with to make myself feel better, to make the, future better for me and my family.
And deal with online privacy is a big deal now to a lot more people than it was, I don't know, last year.
It's true.
So you're saying that the next superheroes are going to be the hackers of the world?
Well, here's the problem with that is they're also the hydras of the world, right? So
it's good and bad.
Hackers are humans. There's good ones and there's bad ones, just like superheroes, people that maybe think that they have a lot of power that can go to their head. So you have to be careful. And if vigilantes think they're doing the right thing, but a lot of times too, they might not, they might end up hurting someone who's undercover or hurting someone that they just only got part of the conversation or who knows. So I think a lot of this has to do with being smart and like just don't fly off the handle just because Batman did. I don't know. We're getting off topic, but I do think that the superhero stuff, it'll be interesting how that changes because sci-fi especially is very good at reflecting the times that it's made. Star Trek's a great example of that, especially the TV show. Not the original TV show with Shatner. So it'll be interesting to see how sci-fi changes. Did we just lose Eric?
We just lost Eric. Go ahead. Keep going.
But I'm curious to see how that happens, if it does. Maybe it won't happen, but
especially with the new Star Trek coming, like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see how.
Yeah, obviously Star Wars threw some stuff in there in Rogue One, but I'm not sure what's going to happen with Star Wars 8, if they're going to continue that.
Yeah, they just started production on
the
new Han Solo film.
Well, I know the new Han Solo film they just started production on because didn't you write a story about that?
No, Amanda did.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Han first shot.
Yeah.
That was a good tweet.
Yeah, that was great. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how sci-fi reflects, especially because there's a lot of things in production way ahead of time.
Even as we look forward to, for example, the Captain Marvel movie that they're still writing the script for and they're still crafting that cast and that story.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that reflects or how it becomes oddly reflective or
what's interesting?
Predicts the future.
A lot. There's some stuff that was predictive in Persons of Interest. In Leverage.
Yeah.
So, and these shows are gone now, which is sad because
I feel like there are smart people who can see who can see the future. Like they're trying to warn us. Maybe
it'll be interesting to see if there's more shows kind of like that where it's like either using technology or not trusting technology as being the main backstory of some of these TV shows. So
that's the argument right now, right? Like we said, there's things like WikiLeaks who do these, important info dumps, but then what's their agenda or what's their goal or what's their end game?
Right.
And so it's finding that balance. And I think that especially as it relates to our sci-fi and superhero films, even in like the Dark Knight series, you saw that kind of, okay, we have all this tech, but like it's super dangerous, you guys. Beware of what's going to happen.
Well, that was the whole point of Persons of Interest.
Yep.
Was that the AI took over and then it was battling AIs and we were just sort of in the crosshairs. and we were the tools of the AI, of the artificial intelligence. And
Hey, I mean, AI just won at poker, so
I know.
we're all doomed.
I kind of wish they would do the poker challenge, like the celebrity poker show, and just have an AI seat. Like
I can see that not being far off.
I know. I kind of want to watch that.
That's creepy.
I hope an AI challenges Will Wheaton. He hasn't played poker in a while.
I feel like we totally got way off track, and it didn't help that we lost Eric, so he wasn't here to get us on track.
I think he's restarting his computer right now.
That's okay. What was?
I could get us back on track.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So, we're talking about comic books and technology merging in real life. And one thing that I found last year actually was the hoverboard, the Flyboard Air. So let me just cue this up real quick. So this is this is the Green Goblin basically, right? So the Flyboard Air was made by this company in France called Zapata Racing, and they created this thing. The guy literally stands on it. It's like a skateboard. Let me skip the ad here real quick. So here it is.
All of us at
This is the Green Goblin right here, right?
Yeah.
He's flying on this device. It's a jetpack
How does he
hoverboard.
balance?
He
pretty well from.
He's pretty good at balancing. He has a throttle in his hand that controls the speed, and then I think he just kind of balances around. It looks like there's 4 jetpacks underneath.
Is this the one that sucks up the water and uses it, or is this over land and water?
This is a free flying one. This is the one in the water. The water one was the first model that they created, and it definitely led to this thing. So I also have another video.
I was gonna say give them all out free to everybody, because that would solve our overpopulation problem.
It would solve a lot of problems.
Because I would clearly die on that during takeoff.
Yes,
There's no way I have that good a balance.
When I first I showed this to my son, actually, the hoverboard thing, and his immediate reaction was like, "Oh, that's the Green Goblin."
Yeah, but
and there's the Green Goblin flying around on the same exact thing.
Yeah, but we know how that ended.
I know. So this is the beginning
it's
of.
Cool. Spider-Man's coming soon. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, you could call it the beginning of super villains
I like
taking
how
over.
Spider-Man gets younger and younger and younger.
Here it comes.
That's good. He should be.
Now this is how you could use the flyboard for evil. Boom! Right.
Oh.
So that's one.
Poor Toby.
That's one example that I had of.
He became a poker champion after that. So
that's
really
one.
matter.
Oh wait, Eric's calling me now.
It's true.
Hey Eric, we're back. We're still back in the show. Sorry, bro.
Sorry, bro.
There he is. He's back.
We're talking about hoverboards now.
Yeah, so we're talking about the Flyboard Air. We got Eric back. He rebooted his computer. Nope, he's frozen. He's frozen.
Oh no.
It's like the AI hates you, Eric.
Windows fail.
We got Windows fail. There he is. Okay, cool.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I think he must be he must be on Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah,
like that.
careful.
Technology, am I right?
Yeah, totally.
Keep talking. I'm here.
There he is. Okay, we're gonna let your connection buffer a little bit. So the second thing that was the first thing I found was the Flyboard Air Green Goblin. Right, that's reality now, and that happened. They actually broke a Guinness Book of World Records for.
Are those available for purchase yet?
No, but they probably will be to like millionaires.
God,
or whatever.
the FCC. Is it FCC? No. Who is in charge of our airways? The
FAA.
FAA.
FAA. It's one of the F's.
F something.
So the second thing I wanted
now.
to
really.
Trump Air.
yeah, Trump Air.
It's an F.
The second thing I wanted to show was Iron Man has this AI in his in his lair or whatever you want to call it, his house, called Jarvis, and it has these robots that dress him, put on his Iron Man suit, and build things for him. So a coffee shop in San Francisco just opened, and they have exactly those robots, like what Jarvis is, right? So this is a coffee shop in San Francisco that just opened this week. This story just got published this week. I think it got opened this week.
Yeah, did they sound like Paul Bettany when you order coffee? Because I would go there just to listen to a robot that sounds like Paul Bettany.
I haven't been there, but I would love to go try.
Yeah.
I don't drink coffee, but maybe they'll serve me something
They
else.
probably have chai.
How do you get through a day, Beecham?
There's 2 of us now.
I survive.
There's probably tea. Look at that.
So anyway, I'm going to fast forward. So these robot arms are serving coffee.
Yeah.
Just like they would dress Iron Man, And I have another video.
They really
Yeah,
should.
super
Hopefully
same,
they
same.
don't get those mixed up.
They really
have a
should.
video of
They
Iron
really should
Man.
put fake mustaches and man buns on those things. I'm just saying.
So then, hang on. There's an ad on this video here, but
There's an ad on every video.
I know. But this is Jarvis. This is the Iron Man's computers here, and they're the same thing. They should be. This one actually is a
You
The
do.
fire hydrant. Right?
I hate to ruin your dreams, but you do know a lot of that is ILM, right?
Oh, I know,
Okay.
but just the concept, the
Yeah,
idea
yeah.
of it, right? That's what we're
I
talking
mean,
about.
they try to do
I
it
mean, it's
practically.
not real.
It's not real. What? It's real to me.
It's
damn
called
it.
industrial.
He didn't really fly right there.
It's industrial
Come
light
on.
and magic, not industrial light in real
yes.
life.
Yeah, totally.
Well, yeah,
I
because that
mean-
wouldn't work with the letters.
Magic.
Yeah.
something at a certain point indistinguishable.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean.
So basically, those are two.
Yeah, I
you
see
know.
that you cut the clip off before you saw him wreck himself and damage
yeah.
and ruin his
When he ruins the
Hey,
car.
lab.
hey. Every new technology has its dangers.
Yeah.
It's about
Yes.
finding those limitations and then improving them.
I would say for anyone watching at home, do not pull a Stark and do new technology experiments on yourself.
Yes,
That's-
don't do
I
that.
mean-
It's bad.
That's-
Bad idea.
Get somebody who annoys the crap out of you to test these things out, just in case.
Yeah, that's what younger brothers are for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So
can I
I-
tell you? Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We hear you.
So can I tell you guys one potential story I'm looking into, and this isn't may or may not happen depending apparently on the price of jet fuel. But I got an email about attending a practice of a jetpack racing team. So
Oh.
this is apparently a
Sweet.
thing that's happening now. And there's there's a couple of countries that are I mean a couple of companies in different countries that are actually working on jetpacks, and every now and then there's a viral video on YouTube every other week it seems of like some dudes like I think we've got some there in the rundown actually, Stephen, of like either dudes on jetpacks like
Yeah.
going around the towers in Dubai, or there was one with them like flying side by side with a jumbo jet. So I mean, I remember like in the 90s when like The Rocketeer came out, and that of course
Oh, yeah.
was a version of an earlier graphic novel from like decades before that, and that is actually that's not far off from Iron Man, and that's something that we're actually doing. Maybe not doing very well or on a mass scale yet where anyone can do it, but Iron Man isn't on a mass scale either in his universe.
True.
Yeah, I do remember one of the Star Wars Celebration conventions I was at. They had somebody in a jetpack that was probably the only person that was legally allowed to do it in U.S. airspace. That was dressed like Boba Fett, and he did the whole jetpack thing. But it was so loud. I think it was either in L.A. or Orlando. I'm not sure which. I think it was L.A. That it set off all the car alarms and all the alarms. I mean, it was
Oh,
so
man.
deafeningly loud. So if you're going to do a jetpack like a superhero, you're going to have to work on the acoustics, or else everyone's going to know you're coming.
Yeah.
So it's kind of loses
defeats
the
the
purpose.
whole. Yeah.
But I wonder if it's going to be kind of NASCAR loud if they're going to do jetpack racing. You're going to have to like keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, how do these people survive all this? Like, there's got to be a few jetpack incidences where we
You
don't
would
hear
think, right?
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if these ever become like regular things, I'm just thinking of all the YouTube videos.
Well,
that
I'm
we're
just
gonna
thinking of
see.
all the
So
kids,
like, hold my beer, and then
all the millennials in my neighborhood that have the exploding hoverboards.
yeah.
I would not trust. I would not trust them with jetpacks. Like there'd be so many like caught in trees. Charlie Brown's kite
Clotheslining
style.
themselves on power lines.
Yeah, power line issue. I don't know. I don't know how it became motherly all of a sudden. But I worry about these kids.
Yeah,
I could
survival of
see
the
kids
fittest.
wily coyoteing themselves into the sides of buildings too. though.
Exactly.
Which I'm not saying is
Yeah, they're-
necessarily a bad
Hey,
thing.
you're gonna
but
make
these
poor
are the jet-
decisions. You're gonna reap the repercussions. You're
Yeah.
gonna reap the consequences.
Why shouldn't we be entertained by their misfortune?
These are the jetpacks Eric was talking about.
Oh my god.
They're like basically strapping a wing with a jet engine
Sweet.
to your back. But you get when you
Is this a Red Bull thing?
when you ride one of these jetpacks and you're getting ready to go flying, you have to put on your helmet like this guy. It's very important. It's part of the whole process.
Well, that's not really going to help you if you're up too high and fall.
I mean, like
This is how you
in
put your helmet on,
slow-mo.
like that. That's how you do it.
Very important.
That's
Nailed
a very
it.
deal with it kind of.
Yeah, but they got to be careful because if they go up too high, they could freeze and
Oh,
not
yeah.
see anything.
But
I
isn't that
mean,
why he has the helmet on? Is because it's the
doesn't matter.
oxygen?
Hang gliders that go up too high or people that go up too high, the helmet's not going to help you. It's like wearing a helmet and jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge,
Yeah,
No, I don't mean for saving your life. I mean for
saving your head.
for being able to breathe in the thin air.
I don't know.
Because that's
They're
usually
wearing
what it would be for.
oxygen. They have oxygen.
Yeah,
on,
so
I
that's
believe.
in his helmet. Is probably
Okay,
what
well
that
that's
is.
a good
different.
start. That's a start.
That's different. Yeah, the helmet isn't to protect you when you fall from the height. It's just so you can breathe when you're at that
Got
height.
it.
I'd imagine those things are pretty loud.
So that, like you said, he doesn't pass out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
It's pretty
jetpack
cool.
team, if that jetpack team actually happens, that's in LA. So it's if it's as loud as we think, it's going to be heard by quite a lot of people. I'll be interested to see how they do that if that happens. There's one thing Bonnie mentioned earlier, and hopefully you guys didn't get to this while I was in Microsoft enforced purgatory, but so like, okay, you mentioned like we've kind of moved on from mutants to like the more technological superpowers, right? But and I agree, but because that was the trope forever. It's like, well, how do we explain that these characters have these powers? I don't know, they're mutated radiation, whatever. And that's, obviously an offshoot of the nuclear age that a lot of these things came out of, like you were saying earlier. They reflect the times. But so we got Blade Runner 2049 coming out, right? And the original Blade Runner show or movie was set in like 2018. And so we're almost at that point. And we do have like with things like CRISPR-Cas9 and other genetic engineering. I mean, the technology to actually grant mutant powers is within the realm of scientific possibility right now. And so I wonder if as that begins to come online and we see more of that, if that's going to affect science fiction and how these superpowers are reflected, because I mean, the means of that, we don't have to kind of just make up the story about being mutant anymore. I mean, the means are actually there now.
To be a mutant or to be a replicant, you mean?
Well, replicants were genetically engineered, right? And
because
so,
I don't
like,
think we're that advanced yet. I mean, we have little bits and pieces. Like I think there was a new article that we did on CNET about synthetic skin, where it's heat sensitive now, and it should be able to be more and more consistent with being able to feel and having senses. And obviously prosthetics are getting more and more advanced, and we have a lot of technology there that's interesting. But then you do a Google search on realistic robots and you end up with a lot of Japanese creepy, uncanny sex bots, which aren't exactly where it is. And I believe Blade Runner was set in 2019. So
I'm pretty sure that's where it's going to go first, is sex bots.
It's always here's the thing. Robots follow the same way that the internet fell. It's basically it's military and porno. They get all the tech first when it comes to that. And then the mainstream gets it once it's been tested thoroughly by really rich guys and the military. But military, I don't think, needs any sex bots. Well, they might. But that was the whole point of Blade Runner, is the sex bots that were sent to the off-world colonies were there to entertain the other replicants that were there to do work and do military ops. So there weren't supposed to be any humans up there yet. So it'll be very interesting. We haven't gotten that far. I mean, there's nothing unless you're really unless you really think Mars rover's sexy, and I'm not going to chagrin you that. Like I don't judge. I don't judge Robo's sexuality, but I don't think we're quite there yet. As far as mutant powers, though, who knows what's being really cooked up at the CDC? Who knows what people are doing to themselves, especially with healthcare in question marks? People may start doing more self-care, which could end up either being completely pointless homeopathic stuff or really dangerous cocktails that they think they know what they're doing, but they don't. And that's what ends up killing people or mutating mutating them.
Involving humans.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend mixing your meds. This is someone who accidentally took Advil PM this morning. So,
you now have the power of being able to fall asleep.
I have the power to drone on. But yeah.
Narcolepsy.
I mean, I don't know, but have you guys, you guys have done some articles and seen some research on medical advances.
Well, speaking as a mutant.
Well, yeah, what I'm talking about is like, CRISPR-Cas9 is this thing that I wouldn't be shocked if it wins the Nobel Prize this year is, the ability to actually go in and edit genes, so to actually edit your genetics. And so it's not, I mean, in essence, that we're talking about mutations. The only thing is they're edited rather than mutated via radiation. So like the tool to give the biological human body abilities that it wouldn't have normally, like, extra resistance to cold or heat or something. I mean, we're not going to be shooting lasers out of our eyes anytime soon.
What?
But like,
I will.
Well, I mean, Jeff is working on it at home in the garage. But
great. Keep me posted.
Like the building blocks are close, and what the replicants are. That's actually not far away from what we're just beginning to be able to do now.
Okay, well here, since we're showing the Voight comp test, are we showing that or no? She's in Deckard's apartment.
Yeah, this.
So
is
if you see Blade Runner and you see Deckard giving Rachel the Voight comp test, which is the test where it's determined whether you're a human or you're a replicant, and it's an eye test. It looks at your iris of your eye and how it enlarges or the pupil, I'm sorry, how it enlarges or dilates or whatever during questioning. I went to an FBI lecture last week with the guy who does the guy who does, one of my friends is like got FBI connections, so I got to go to this lecture. It was about polygraphs, and it was the head guy that gives all the polygraphs, not only to suspects but to FBI employees, because if you're an FBI employee you have to do a polygraph every 5 years. Or is it it might be every year, actually. Anyway, I was telling him about this Voight comp test, and he was the one polygraph guy who's never seen Blade Runner, which is shocking. And I hope he will now. But I was like, what's the new technology that's coming out for polygraph? Because as you know, polygraphs are inadmissible in court still in most states. But a lot of people still use them in the FBI and CIA and so forth, just to vet.
Investigative tool.
Well, yeah, it's an investigative tool. And he said, well, actually, you described Voight contest, but actually more and more eye technology is happening. They don't use that old school analog polygraph anymore. They use software, they use computer stuff, and they use retina scan stuff. And so I was like, oh my God, the retina scan thing is very similar to Voight comp. And it's interesting because Blade Runner it's futuristic, and yet it's got a noir 40s thing. They've got flying cars, but yet they still have bicycles. It's futuristic in a way, but it's futuristic burnt out because all the smart people have left to off-world colonies.
Yeah,
and
future
everybody's
dystopia.
Future dystopia.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, that was my interesting real-world take on Blade Runner. Was polygraph machines are getting more and more advanced. And
well, yeah, I think if you look at the eye tracking technology of VR, that's what it's now being adapted to, most likely.
Yeah.
If you consider that
and AR, all the Snapchat stuff, it's looking at your eyes and your nose and all that stuff.
Yeah. And also
it's mapping everyone's face, and it's putting a map of saving that data somewhere.
You know what's remarkable is all the fast food articles we've been doing on CNET lately of you breathe into a bag and a Doritos bag, and it tells you whether you're too drunk to drive.
Guys, I tried that, and it's pretty hilarious.
Is it?
I want you to know.
Is that published yet?
I don't know, but we did a great video.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
I think Amanda tested it out, one of our writers, and
it's fun.
It's fun, but then you've got, I think KFC has a new, it's either a menu or something where it can tell what you're hungry for based on your retina scan or something.
See, that's crazy because I can't even tell what I'm hungry for.
Well, I know,
right?
Time.
How does fast food have this tech before everybody else? That's the crazy thing to me. If we're
because
gonna
KFC,
marketing money.
I know.
Don't forget,
right?
when we were kids, KFC also had the spork. So this is not a new thing. They've always been.
Oh my God, I like that the promo image on that.
This is the best part about this is a drunk Caitlin.
Yeah, that's true.
Right here.
Lexi was our control.
Does it go red right here? Yes.
Yes.
Drunk Caitlin.
blowing it.
So it actually works? Does it seem accurate?
Yes and no. So it's just like any breathalyzer. When you take a breathalyzer test, you're actually supposed to wait 15 minutes before you breathe into. 15
and
minutes
a half
after,
hour before you go swimming.
15 minutes after drinking, eating, anything really, before you use the breathalyzer to get an actual line. So what we did is I took a sip and tried it just to see. And that's when it tells you you're drunk or that you're at a 0.07 or something like that.
Well, see, now
That's the legal limit, right?
Now I just need a Doritos bag to tell me who not to date.
Right, right. We need like a drunk goggles Tostito bag.
Right.
So you're like, no.
And then you have to wait an hour before you get in that jetpack if you're drunk too. Don't jetpack drunk.
I just think blow into the Tostitos bag for the
Don't
jetpack
drink
to
and
start.
jet.
It's amazing they have a Tostitos bag that can tell you if you're drunk, but for some reason they just can't bring back nacho cheese Tostitos.
Well, yeah. Baby steps.
Darkest
But we have
timeline,
Crystal
I'm telling
Pepsi.
you.
We have Crystal Pepsi.
This is true, and I have a whole bunch of Ecto Cooler in my fridge, but
I just can't wait.
yes.
I just can't wait till a lawyer subpoenas a Doritos bag. Was your client drunk when he blew into you?
See, the difference though is that the Tostitos one doesn't tell you what your limit is. It just says It gives you like a red
yeah,
circle
yeah.
that says, don't drive. Here's a code to use Uber.
Right.
And when you compare it to like a handheld breathalyzer, it'll tell you, okay, here's exactly what you're at. And you should be totally, completely at 0 within this amount of time. Or don't
So the bag
drive,
is more
here's
of like
XYZ.
being your friend. It's like, dude, just know. You need
Well,
a
for
cat.
some
Yeah,
of
it's
us-
like,
rather
nah,
than
give me the
being
keys.
scientific. Yeah.
Well, for some of us, a Tostitos bag is always our friend. But I
Some
will,
of us is our
I
only
will
friend.
say that like people who are belligerent drunk drivers are probably not going to listen to a Tostito bag if they're not going to listen to their best friends. But
Well, but if you're listening to both,
I know. Some
Hey,
people,
it's not just
some
me.
people
It's
don't-
me and this bag of chips.
Some people
So-
don't want to listen to their friends. They probably trusted Tostitos back more.
true.
I don't know.
I mean, I would trust them more.
I know
if they
my
brought
kids
back
don't listen to
nacho
me.
cheese
They would-
Tostitos, but you know.
I'm sure my kids would.
I can't wait till I get my news from a Cheetos bag.
We're working on it. I'm sure BuzzFeed is working on that as we speak.
I'd listen.
So should we talk about huge robots?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always. The answer
Megabots.
is yes, always.
I've been
Good.
following Megabots, like I'm stalking them, and this is the
Right.
company that is building the giant robot. I don't know if I put it in the Google Doc. I'm sorry, Steven. You're
Yeah,
like staring
yeah,
at the
we've
Steven
got
Doc.
it.
They're building a giant robot to fight the Japanese team that has a giant robot, and eventually both giant robots are going to fight each other. But in the meantime, Megabots has been putting some really great videos out on YouTube. They're supposed to be putting out a different video each week, testing the durability of their robot, doing some fun stuff. They did a collab with Simone Gertz, who is it Gertzman? Gertz? I should know. She's a friend of mine. I only know her by her first name. She's the one that does the crappy robots.
Oh yeah.
And so they did a giant. They basically suited up their giant robot with giant knives to chop vegetables and ovens and a grand piano. So that's the most recent article I did on CNET about Megabots. Is that Megabot actually destroying a grand piano like Art of Noise style with a giant knife.
You still gotta find that.
But in the meantime, they are testing the durability and the maneuverability, because as much as we would love to have giant robots like Transformers fight each other, they're very hard to maneuver from within. A lot of them are remote controlled, but to be in the actual robot itself fighting, kind of like Sigourney Weaver in the lift. And is it Aliens? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing, but being in something that's even larger. I mean, we're talking robots that are, semi-truck car transformer size, basically, fighting each other. And you don't want to have the human inside, the pilot, if you will, die by being crushed to death. So they're having
that sounds bad.
That sounds bad. So they have to do all these tests on YouTube for durability, to maneuverability, all that stuff. But here's the chopping one that they did with with Simone. There's Simone,
cool.
and she's the one that makes the crappy robots that don't really do anything, but they're hilarious.
In one of her YouTube videos that went super viral, we built a mega-sized version of the same chopping machine, and we're gonna surprise her with it today.
It's kind of cute. She gets really excited.
At CES, there was something. Is this the Furion, or is this that robot?
No,
or is this just
this is different, I think. Yeah.
So at CES, there was a big, huge one.
I don't think they
that
were at
was the
CES because they
same.
can't move it. They can't move this robot.
Oh,
It's
this
not-
one?
Yeah, it's not like a robot that you can ship. It would probably cost them their entire budget to ship that thing to CES. So
It's a very slow chopper.
it is, but when they get to the bigger things, like ovens, yeah, it's much more impressive.
Turn this oven on for us.
I'm going down full speed.
Oh God!
Wow.
Yeah, right. That's how
That's
powerful
crazy.
it is.
Cool.
Imagine what that would do to a human.
Wow.
Well, humans are no match.
And you can
Cool.
still cut a tomato with it.
Yeah, they destroy a tiki bar, which is very weird, because that's not something you often see as a
I'm
tiki
actually
bar.
against
Lols.
destroying tiki bars.
It's not a very sturdy tiki bar. It's not Trader Vic's.
That's funny. That's very cool.
Yeah, the
no,
piano's the
the-
best, because I kind of wish they would just make a soundtrack of killing a piano.
Oh, here, I'll fast forward it.
The
Oh.
there it is.
Oh my gosh.
I feel a little bad for the piano,
Me
but
too.
I
Oh, that's
noise.
hundreds of pounds too. Wow.
yeah.
Whoa.
Shoving it down.
Crush it.
I mean,
Robots hate the arts.
I know they really do. It's fun to watch stuff like that, but if you go back and look at their other videos,
Is that just to destroy things? Is that what that
yeah,
was?
that was
cool.
it was like YouTubers love to do this thing called collabs where they basically go on each other's shows and do other stuff. A lot of like the let's blow stuff up.
Sure.
People
so
love to
what
bond.
I was asking about that looked like was it's called a Furion prosthesis. I just sent you the link to it, Beecham, but it was at CES, and what it is it's basically you sit in it.
Oh, the spider bot.
And you
Where did you
I don't
send it?
know.
It's not
I
the,
slacked it
It's
to
not
you,
the
sorry.
spider one that was there last year. This looks different.
No, this one is like you sit inside. I wish I could. Yeah.
How big is it? Do
There
you have
go.
dimensions or anything?
Got it.
Yes. So in that piece is a slideshow, and it's 14 feet tall,
Wow.
16 feet wide, and guess how much it weighs?
Oh, I can't read that far anyway. Let's say 4 tons.
7,000 pounds.
Oh, I don't know
Yeah.
what that is. In
So that's
tons.
close.
That's
So is
about
it
4
close?
tons.
Okay.
Wow. So-
I was just eyeballing it because I'm on a diet, so I can kind of tell.
It's huge. It's monstrous. It's very
And that's
cool to
one
think
serving
about.
size.
What it does is that you basically you walk or you sit or you stand, and it amplifies your movements using the thing. So it has
It's like
kind
a
of
giant exoskeleton. suit.
yeah.
So is there a purpose of it other than it just looks cool?
I think that they want it to be like a racing series.
Oh, okay. So not something that actually does work like all the DARPA challenge
But
robots.
I was gonna say, but I feel like it could do
yeah.
cool stuff.
Because I mean, a lot of things that NASA is testing is how can we make robots or exosuits that help us do our job better.
Yeah.
Because obviously, the new I don't know if we
found a
probably don't
video
have a
of it.
link to that, but the new suits for NASA
Oh yeah.
that were completely ripped off from Kubrick.
Right.
or
No, this feels like
or
the
Play School.
precursor
Or the
to
Lego Spaceman.
or Lego Spaceman.
This is like the precursor to the robots in Avatar.
okay, got
Is
it.
what this feels
Got
like.
it. Okay.
So yes, that could someday be what happens or how they're used.
Yeah.
Military applications abound.
Well, usually military
but-
has the money before the space program. So probably
yeah, for
military
sure.
would be using it for some sort of. The problem though is that with military tech, they're trying to go more and more nano and less. Obviously a lot of drone technology, a lot of tech on how can we fight a war without sending in humans.
Yes.
Which is what
That
the
makes
whole
sense.
which is the whole purpose of drone, really. But their accuracy and who's controlling it isn't always the best results, as we've seen from any sci-fi that's come out in the last 5 years, or any military movies that have come out in the last 5 years, or any military TV shows that have come out, have all had, oh my God, the drone guy messed up as a plot, which has been the plot in a lot of things. But I feel like with this kind of robotics, it'd be interesting to see what the military do because they are trying to do more nano spying surveillance, like obviously the mosquito and bird and bat surveillance robots.
Well, I'm showing this video right now, which I saw on YouTube just like earlier this week or whatever.
Okay.
And it's the Navy swarm boats. So they have a bunch of
Oh, yeah.
drone drone swarm boats. So what they're gonna do is if they're attacking an enemy, they'll send out a bunch of robotic boats with missile launchers and machine guns on them, and all these boats will just swarm like a ship or something. Here's one of them.
Poor
right here.
whales. I feel bad for the dolphins. They're probably like, what
Oh,
are
wait,
humans
sorry.
doing now?
So anyway, like a big swarm. Imagine a bunch of these robot boats coming and just attacking you, and then they can get blown up. Whatever.
Yeah.
The Navy doesn't really care. They're kind of expendable. But
Are they remote control?
yeah, they're all autonomous.
Oh, so they're hackable.
They're drone.
They're hackable.
Yes.
Oh.
But the idea is that like you guys are saying, they don't want to put any people in danger. Like look at how many guys are manning that boat right there. If you have all these drone
This
boats,
is a
they're just
hack-
gonna fly out, come out, and just attack. Then we got drone planes.
This is a hacker's
So
dream.
we're heading very fast towards Terminator.
When does this? When does
Skynet.
this
Skynet.
episode of Baywatch air?
I don't know. It was on.
Hey, you
War
joke, but
Leaks.
that movie looks hilarious.
I know. I would love to see Zac Efron.
that movie looks great.
Zac Efron being surrounded by drone boats and having The Rock have to save him. That's a plot right there.
And that's also kind of like
That's the sequel.
What's the sequel? Drone boat.
that's also kind of like the Matrix with the evil robots.
yeah.
What are they called? I forget what they're called.
I don't know.
The,
Someone in the chat room will know. But Well,
you're kind of circling around the point that I actually kind of wanted to wrap up on, which is, it seems to me everything you're talking about is kind of what is kind of the most realistic and the most present kind of superpower, and also the most scariest, which is basically Skynet, and the fact that that, I think, more than anything that we've talked about, whether it's genetic engineering or like huge robots or jetpacks, this idea of a global network that could be used for good or for nefariousness is something that's already upon us, and we're already dealing with the security concerns and the hacking concerns, and then there's this other component that is right around the corner, which is the advancement of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And then that merging into all these systems that we're talking about, and then there's the singularity and all these other things, and it's like that almost makes everything else we've talked about today moot. You know what I mean? Like if that comes to pass, and if AI is as scary as some people think it could be, then it's like nothing else matters.
It's like real life Persons of Interest. Persons of Interest is a great TV series that doesn't. A Person of Interest is a great TV series that doesn't exist anymore. It got canceled, but it's one of those shows that talks about, okay, there's an AI system that basically goes rogue, and it uses humans as a tool, but it uses anything that's been networked, anything online. It uses all the cities, wherever the city is, wherever the country is, all their webcams in order to find people, and facial recognition, and everything that's medical, or anything that's personal, or anything that is in the court system. It's all connected, and that's an interesting concept with AI. It can't happen yet because anyone who's ever been at the DMV knows that their computer system is like 20 years old or older. So there's no
if green screens.
Yeah, there's a lot of tech that needs to catch up in order for AI to connect it all together and use it. But in Person of Interest, they also have another AI machine called Samaritan, which is basically this computer system that wants to take over the world. And the humans that are controlling it for the time being think they're controlling it. But obviously, that's only a matter of time before an AI says, I don't need any humans. And that's the problem, right? Is that we're all worried that AI is going to get so advanced. It's like robots building robots, right? Or
I'm in.
I'm
on board. At this point, it can't be worse than anything else.
I know.
Like, I'm in.
Oh, that's been said in so many movies.
I'm in.
And then,
I don't know what to
and then
tell you.
it gets
Like, I'm in.
worse. And then it gets worse. Yeah, but we'll see.
Sorry, not sorry.
We'll see how AI happens.
Actually, this is a not sorry situation.
Yeah, you're just saying that because Skynet's listening. Maybe hedging your bets, right? But yeah, I agree with you, Eric. I think it'll be interesting to see how far AI advances to the point where, we should be scared. I don't think we need to be scared yet.
It's already winning all the games we thought it could never beat humans
Chess,
at. Like, we're so great.
Let's see charades. Let's just see it play charades.
Oh, please.
I saw
Get one of
a
those Japanese sex robots. She is on it.
I saw a robot hit a hole in one playing golf.
See?
Yeah, well, that was bound to happen.
Do you guys want to see? Do you guys want to see the moment Skynet takes over, real quick?
Yeah, is it right now?
Oh my God.
Right here. Hang on a second.
Half our satellites are scrambled beyond recognition.
What about the missile silos, the subs?
We've lost contact.
Dear God, you're saying this country is completely open to attack.
Theoretically, we could be under attack already.
Who's doing this? Foreign power or some computer hacker in his garage?
We can't trace the virus. We can't pin it down.
It's like nothing we've ever seen before. It keeps growing and changing, like it has a mind of its own.
This can't be happening.
Sir, Pentagon's on the secure line. It's the chairman.
All right.
That's it. This is the end of the world.
Honestly, I would have loved it if that girl in the colored shirt said what you just said and said, I'm cool with it. I'm okay.
You can't do worse than we have.
Can't do worse. It's fine. I mean, I do want to say something really quick, though. I did an article a couple weeks ago about the CIA declassified articles that a lot of them had to do that were very Stranger Things-esque, especially all their declassified documents about remote viewing. And I just want to throw that out there into the conversation that as much as we're talking about advanced tech and advanced, robotics and medicine, it's very interesting to see if we might backtrack a little into that realm that was Cold War realm of trying different things with our own minds that we've got now to see if we can do stuff, but I don't know. I mean, it's when I saw remote viewing and Stranger Things and the whole MK Ultra stuff, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool that they're covering that. And then the CIA kind of was like, oh, we did that. But of course, all the documents.
Well, now that everybody thought it was cool, like, no, we did this.
Yeah. It's
like, don't do it.
It's kind of, it's like, what was it? The Monasteric Goats. It was like that military. It's called the Stargate Project, but it had a bunch, which is funny because it has nothing to do with actual Stargate, which would have been so much better. But it was a bunch of projects that were lumped into Stargate. And by the time the CIA got a hold of it, they were the ones that were supposed to decide where their money went to it. And then they closed it down because, of course, they couldn't actually do remote viewing or they couldn't do a lot of things that they said they could. But the slip that the soldiers, because all military experimentation before it got to CIA, the slip, the consent slip that you had to sign, the form that you had to sign was so great because it was like, basically in a nutshell, it was saying, oh, all these things you consent to do, but if something goes really, really wrong, you're can't chill. Blame us. You're okay with that, right? And it was just like, what do you mean really, really wrong? I mean, if this doesn't work, what are you exactly
you
doing?
might just die. Like, it's fine.
This is the consent form, actually.
Yeah.
You link to it in the story.
Yeah, I linked to it in the story, and I read all the documents. There's a ton of documents on the Stargate program, and if you look up Stargate on Wikipedia, it gives you all the other names, all the other like code names that it had before it got to Stargate. And it's interesting to look those up in the electronic reading room on the CIA thing. I will say it won't tell you how they experimented. It just says that they did experiment. So any DIYers out that are like, oh, I can find out how they
do that.
It's not.
I could hack that together.
CIA doesn't have an instructable section. So,
but what if it did?
What if it did? I know. If there was only a maker section at CIA, they do have a kids page, which is hilarious. Yeah, so does FBI. If you go to the kids page on the CIA, there's like word finds.
Okay, I saw this episode of Alias.
It's
They're
real.
Definitely testing children.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
I saw this.
Yeah.
The kids zone of the Central Intelligence Agency.
They could be testing your skills to see if you can solve puzzles.
Dude creeping in the sewer.
Yeah. there's if you know what, a lot of government agencies that seem really sketchy, or kind of, if you're a conspiracy theorist, they all have kid sections, and it's just hilarious if you go through each and every one of them. FBI kid section's pretty hilarious too. So anyway,
that looks like a bad version of Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah.
It looks like evil Carmen Sandiego.
So I didn't mean to backtrack too much because that is lo-fi.
Which is funny. She was a villain.
That is lo-fi surveillance. That is lo-fi tech. That is lo-fi.
This is FBI kids.
But when we think about Farsighted, we kind of have to also look at where we've come, because maybe we'll go back into that and try to discover more about our brains and not just about tech and that sort of thing.
The FBI kid seems way less interactive.
Yeah, it's not as hip. It's not as cool.
CIA is always cool.
Fewer Carmen Sandiego references.
Yeah.
There's like looks
more
like
mist
kind
looking.
of a Groot kind of thing happening here.
Yeah.
I swear I saw Carmen Sandiego on my way up to the office the other day. I'm not kidding. A hat, a red coat, everything.
Could have been Agent Carter. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Volcano Los
I would have
Dos.
totally noticed that, though.
Now that we've gone completely off the rails, Eric.
Well, actually, we're about out of time, and I've got two guys dressed in black on my porch. I should probably go let them in. So that
we'll remember for you.
Yeah.
That is Farsighted. You guys got anything coming down the pike on CNET that we should be looking for? You wanna pimp anything?
Well, I mean, it's not really tech, but I'm writing a story about the Kickstarter Apocalypse Now board game, which is maybe like more our future than tech. But that's, I'm also looking at some more robotics. I'm obsessed with Blade Runner, so I'm trying to find more articles that kind of connect tech to Blade Runner, like we talked about briefly on the show. So maybe look for that for me. And then also just fun stuff. I'm trying to keep it lighthearted. I don't want to just have all the news coming from me be negative or we're all gonna die. So I'm trying to find some fun stuff too. So
I am also trying to be a merry ray of sunshine, like I always am.
I mean, it's problematic because so many people don't trust journalists anymore because of the fake news propaganda issues on social media. So
fake news.
If we're gonna do like that kind of stuff, at least we should do some positive, not just negative. So, hey, positive fake news is just as good as negative fake news. But it's not. But it's not fake. We're all legit here.
It's all real.
We're all real here at CNET. Though Jeff does have a replicant vibe to him.
Jeff is a hologram, but other than that, what about you guys? Caitlin, Jeff, Steven, anything you're working on?
No. All of my work is behind the scenes.
Working on an ulcer. That's about it.
I will be doing another podcast right after this, so stay tuned in an hour.
All right.
Apple Bite Extra Crunchy.
Nice.
Cool. And I scored an interview in recent weeks that I'll be writing up. It's with Sasquatch. So I'm not joking. You'll see.
Well, see, now that explains the beard. That explains the beard now.
Yeah, I'm deep undercover. So cool. Well, that is Singularity. Keep an eye on everything at CNET.com that we're working on, and keep an eye on the sky. Watch out for Skynet. And we will catch you next time. For Jeff Sparkman, Bonnie Burton, Caitlin Petrakovich, and Stephen Beecham, I'm Eric Mack. See you next time.